United Financial Group is a trust asset management company that invests into the development of new generation innovative drugs. UFG is the most advanced industries and technologies, including safe medicine and IT blockchain development. Our mission is to set up a well-balanced investment portfolio for everyone. United Financial Group. Invest with us and create your own future. Well, colleagues, I'm going to introduce to you Evgeny Sorokadum, CEO of the Vortex Oscillating Technology Company. Well, it looks like an off-scheduled meeting. We had a big interview. We were going across the laboratory, visiting the laboratory, and that stuff would be uploaded later. We don't have much time now. It's a little bit late. A lot of work has to be done, but under the webinar, I would like to discuss the major issue that is of primary interest for me and for our investors. Whatever relates to the Vortex oscillating generator. I'm going to ask questions to Evgeny Dmitrievich about this, and if you have any questions on your side during the webinar, please post them to the questions bookmark, and I would just redirect my questions to him. My first question is, why did you have an idea to set up this Vortex generator? Answer. The idea came into being as follows. First of all, the global energy crisis has been developing in the world now, and the solutions like nuclear energy and fuel energy are now hazardous. And global movements today are about solar and wind power. They are more and more sound in Russia and abroad and in Skolkovo. This is a bubble, they say, because it depends on the availability of wind. It's hard to operate, and we have to look for other opportunities. And other opportunities, it's those who could resolve those issues without creating new crises, including economic crisis. These are power plants that get energy from ambient air, as well as thermal energy and static pressure. And using Vortex, they suck this energy like an American tornado does. And that is an option, that is a solution. And this solution have been used for a few years now, but the idea is to set up not a classical vortex, but a vortex that would extract this energy from ambient air without any solar or wind. We have been trying to do that for quite a while. We are using wind vortices to get this energy, and now we are trying to use air vortices, and the next step is to use them to suck humidity from ambient air. And then Vortex power plants for 5 kV, 5 kilowatt. We are going to have about 1.7 billion consumers in the world. But I have a question. Do you see that diagram, and could you explain it to us a little bit? So what is the idea behind this diagram? Sorokadum. First of all, we are just starting this vortex from outside for a few minutes. And then this vortex is trying or begins to spin and sucking in air. There is a reduced temperature in the middle of the vortex automatically, and this thermal energy of ambient air, including static pressure, so that energy would be would be transferred to the body of that red vortex, and that red vortex would exist because of that. But the idea is not just for it to exist like an American tornado, but to spend some energy for self-sustaining, but to give the rest of the energy for connected electric generators to consumers, And the idea is to plan it for 5 kilowatt first. It's quite enough to provide power to a detached home. And we expect to have about 1 billion consumers. And then we could make more powerful generators. And that vortex could also absorb some air from the atmosphere and humidity. And it's not just power supply to consumers, but also water. Question. It's going to be in one piece, generator and water. Answer, yes, in one piece. Here you can see blue line, which is water connection. Question. Is that idea somehow connected to eco-settlements? Soroka Doom. Well, the point is that even here in Russia we have 22 million people who have never seen Moscow or Moscow region. So we have to supply energy to dozens of homes like that. They have never seen gas or anything else for power supply. Our source of self-sustained energy would be able to supply energy to every detached home. You don't have to make overhead power lines or gas pipelines, and this is a wonderful solution. Schlumberger have been trying to resolve this, and we have been trying to do that, and we have a lot of experiments about that. And the point is funding. We need money for continuation of our research. Question. What about economics? Answer. The idea is that if we launch this project, so for the fourth year, we will have renaissance of remote settlements, because now people are living for bigger cities from there, and that 5 kV would have at least $10 billion of net profit annually for production of such vortex oscillating power plants. So it's a solution for eco-settlements, and that would be generating huge profit. Question. The design is not complex, isn't it? Answer. It's physics. Unlike wind or solar power, this physics is 100 times more complex, but it's going to be much cheaper and simpler to produce versus solar and wind energy. Question. Is it research and development? Answer. Yes. We need to set up a miniature tornado and to convey energy to the consumer. And question. And the end design is simple and cheap. Right. Answer. It's cheap. It's like tornado, which is sucking in water, air, or whatever. All right. Any questions? Please post your questions to the chat. We will not spend much time for questions. How much will it cost? Evgeny said 50-60,000 rubles per item. This is cost of production of that generator. Well, let's say $5,000, right? So it's just okay for a human being. Question. Does it have any fuel to run? Well, we will not say that it has no fuel, but a description would have. We we could call it a high-yield generator. We had a lot of colleagues, and please log on to our website. So it's self-sustained generator. But you need some fuel to start it, right? Answer. This is the first minute. Then it will have a self-sustained mode and to produce energy. Question. What is the life cycle of that unit? Answer. It's going to be a pipe without any propeller, and the vortices would spin inside, and that electric generator would be turned by that vortices. So the reliability is much higher than in the case of wind farms or solar farms, because the vortices have no rotating items or particles. It will be just passive cylinders for that vortex not to go beyond, to get bigger and to start turning into a big tornado, you know? Question. What about the noise? Answer. No, not much noise. It's just 5 kV. But if we say about future 100 megawatt, there's going to be a big problem. It's like an American tornado, but such projects is out of the question. We have to start with a 5 kV first and then think about anything else. What about test items or test units? Answer. We created some water vortex units, but now we want to create air vortex units, which is much more difficult using mechanical oscillations. So it's going to, after a few minutes, after start, it would go by itself. Questions from Sergey. How much money is required for the project? Answer. The figures are being now calculated, so it's not time to tell you about the final figure. How much time is needed to deliver the project? Would it last for decades, as the case with other projects? I don't know what kind of projects you're talking about, but Sorokodum speaking. This project is pretty solid in terms of optimum modes, and it takes 7 months for creating a vortex. Then a power plant creation would take 12 to 13 months, so it's about 20 months in total. Question. Is it a hydro-trend principle or not? Sorokodum speaking. Well, I forgot a Ukrainian guy who invented this hydroshock, but the principle is interesting. It was used in the Soviet Union to fix pumps and so on, but those devices did not take energy from the ambient air, and it is not used in our case. What we are going to use is that the core of the vortex would have permanent oscillations, just expanding and decreasing. And we already have it in case of water vortices without any other external devices. So the vortex itself behaves like that, and it would be sucking out energy from the ambient air that would go into the middle. So it goes from the bottom and will get out back into the atmosphere. It would give away static and thermal energy, and those energies are now used already by by the humanity. This is thermal energy, which is produced by thermal pumps, and this is not self-sustained, but our system is going to be self-sustained, so the heat pump operates by a online compressor, but our device would take this thermal energy from the outside, and this is the static energy source which is used by the mankind in vacuum bombs. That would be smaller in size, so it's like 200-liter barrel, a 5 kV generator, and we're not going to get it to explosion, because the vacuum bomb would explode for 300 meters, but we will canalize this for peaceful purposes. Question: when could we start production? After 2 years since we begin doing the test model. We need to test it first, then to make a little batch, a trial batch, and then to produce. The team of researchers is located in Moscow district, on the bank of the river reservoir. Question: what is the lifetime of that generator? Many years, more than wind farms and solar farms. 10 times more, because nothing rotates there. A question from Vasily: what about the prototype production? There are 2 stages. First stage is research and development for 7 to 8 months, and then it's going to take another 8 or maybe a little bit more months to produce a 5 kV trial or test model. And this is not the only line of activities that Evgeny Sorokodum has been working. He would work in parallel for a number of other developments, which is a flying umbrella vehicle. They have lots of developments for a flying vehicle, and a pump which is better than everything is produced now. This is a sludge pump, not water pump. We have a laboratory test pump already. A question: what about industries for that pump? It's for oil sludges, for manure in agricultural industry, some thick waste of industrial waste that has to be pumped over to have no impact on the environment. So it's a big deal, because they are subject for fine. So it's quite a big range of use, and whatever is now produced, they get out of order by 30%, and ours would be working. Question: what about the concrete hoses? No. It's not. You mean concrete pumps? There's a piston pump. We could start our pump as well, and it could just pump over concrete. And the same could be done not just for sludge, but we could get anything from the bottom of the river or of the sea. Sapropel, for instance, it's a very valuable thing, and our pump could be used for sludge and forever, for everything. Question: what about a team of researchers, and are you going to hire more people? Answer: I used to work in that direction in the Soviet Union, and now we are going to set up a team, and it's hard to make a team because most of universities have a very low level of training. This is the first point, and secondly, when we make teams for design and for calculation. I don't demand any vortex energy knowledge from that person. I just need him to be an expert for mathematics, for design, or for operation of energy devices, to experiment. So it's a simplified approach, and that has proved to be good for 50 years. And this is the first point. And secondly, we would be grateful to anyone for any services offered to us, because it's hard for us to find smart engineers, designers, and other things. So we have a problem with human resources. Evgeny speaking. Everybody has problems with human resources, because even masonry experts were in short supply when I used to work in the construction site. So that's the problem. So we're looking for smart people, because everybody wants to get economists or lawyers or something. Now pizza is being transferred by bicycle. Question: what about permit to install such generators in Russia? Answer: we're not competitors of Gazprom and other companies, because a 5 kV device for remote stations, remote locations in Russia, there are so remote settlements that no companies like Gazprom would be there, because it's just a dozen of houses and it's 100 kilometers away, and we would not be any competitors for them. This is the first point. Secondly, we're not using any flammable or hazardous substances. We run on ambient air. We take static pressure from it, and we take thermal energy. And in terms of environment, we do no harm, and we have no reasons to be banned, I would say. There was a question about balsam. The balsam has been marketed, certification is there, is ready, and today the webinar is not for balsam, and I want to... We could mix balsam, or we could share it away using our device. We're using extraction of herbal nutrients or medicinal plants, and we could do that extraction too. So we're not experts in the balsam, but we are experts in mixing, pumping, and if you could use it somewhere with you together for your balsam, we could do that. We could offer it to the extraction plant, extraction factory, because we don't grow, we don't produce it, but we could... Yes, Sorokodum speaking, we could get a terms of reference for that device, and we could do that. What is the size of the generator? It's like a 200-liter barrel for 5 kV. So it's 10 kV is 2 barrels. Right, you could locate it anywhere, in the attic, in the basement, in the shed, for that vortex to be able to suck in fresh air and to get energy from it. So it's not inside building location. It's better to use it outside, to get it from the ambient air and to push it back. So we could use it on the attic, like if you have air supply. You don't have to have much air, because the process is going to be very strong. But it's better to have it outside, right? It's like a heat pump. A radiator is located outside on the street for everyone to see it, and that radiator is sucking in some wind, and then it provides cooled down water or something. So this is the heat pump operation in the world. A question: what about mountain operation of that generator in the mountains? Answer: it could work anywhere, in the North Pole, in the mountains. the energy value would change, but it would work. If it is located somewhere in the mountains with very dry air, it would get static energy, because static energy is always there. 1 atmosphere, 1 bar is always there. So if that vortex in the middle would reduce pressure from 1 bar to 0.8 bar, so that difference would be sucking in ambient air, and the humidity degree would be different. So if it's a big elevations, the static pressure would not be 1 bar, but 0.8 bar. So the power output would decrease, but not much. Well, there are no more questions, and we are now wrapping up because we have done a lot. So thanks a lot for your input, and all the best to you. If you have any questions, please write to us in the chat, and we would answer them. So all the best to you, and until next time.